Welcome to the Six Again podcast, your new destination for all things NRL. Here to bring you everything from team news to best bets are your hosts Adam Hoy and Jarrod Newton. Let's kick off.
You good?
I am good, and what also was good was a 4-day Easter long weekend, except for the fact that it rained literally non-stop for 4 days in Queensland. So if you're one of the lucky ones outside of the southeast of Queensland, actually got to enjoy your 4-day break, screw you, because we've been stuck inside pretty much.
Shut up. You've got 2 weeks off as a teacher for school holidays. Pull your head in.
I do now, but that's not with my wife and kids. That's generally by myself because everybody else works during school holidays.
No, I'm sorry. But your kids are in childcare, so it is optional if you put in enough time to get them out of childcare and spend a day with them.
True. But also after spending 4 days
inside.
We did go outside, but it's different. When you go outside in the wet by yourself or with the missus, it's all right, you can come and get dry. It's different when kids, because it just adds layers.
Yeah, I'm not even going to jump in. I'm not a father, so I don't know.
Actually, Maddie and I got 3 hours off this afternoon. It was nice. We went to the plaza, and it seemed like everyone else went there as well, because
I was going to say you got
donuts for lunch, because that's the only thing that didn't have lines.
You got 3 hours off, so you went to the plaza. Like, was
just anywhere.
Reenactment of when you were like 15, or?
Well, we're thinking of the beach. The fact that most beaches are shut, and unfortunately, Sunshine Coast is a tourist haven, so there's generally not many places that you can go when it's pissing down rain, when there isn't going to be a lot of people.
Yeah, that is true.
Kind of chose one where it'd be spread out a lot, and I did get an awesome singlet though. Check this out. National Basketball League, the NBL.
Okay.
We're in Kmart. I think we're in Kmart. Yeah, it's one of the shops. I don't know. NBL's got like branding of hoodies and stuff in there. It's a really sick range, and I got a jumper singlet. It's sick. It's not a turtle.
He does look like a bit of a badass, everyone.
Yeah, had this on with a helmet and the mask on while we're out. Yeah, could have started some shit, but smartly chose not to.
You could have got into a fight with 15-year-olds too, wearing the same thing.
Yeah, true. I did spend Saturday afternoon in the pouring down rain, moving that massive half pipe to my house. When I say massive, not massively high, just massively heavy. And chose the best weekend to do it, because it was the first weekend Jarrod couldn't actually help. One of my brothers was in Brisbane in lockdown. The other one had just had a baby, so they couldn't help, which is understandable. One of my mates is still on recovery for back injury at work. Another mate who said he was going to come was at her first birthday party, Nick Wallace. Another mate was at work. Ended up just being Rob and I, and the fellas we bought the half pipe off. Yeah, it took a bit longer than we expected. My lawn is now ripped up. But the half pipe is sitting out on the half on the road, half on my front.
Your neighbours must love you.
Yeah, we're going to have a housewarming Move Adam's half pipe party next weekend.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, housewarming's like the second event. So.
Yeah, thanks for the heads. Is this the invite, or am I just not invited?
I hadn't actually invited anyone yet. I was just working on the title still.
So there was football on this weekend.
There was. And
Manly got pumped. Newcastle ended up in the emergency ward. It was a good weekend for me and Adam.
Oh, yeah. So let's go over the tips. I got 7 out of 8, just got to say. I missed my full round because I went against the grain and seemed to be the only one to do that, choosing the Warriors over the Roosters. I've now put a line through the Warriors for the top 8, because if they couldn't beat that Roosters team, they're never going to beat them. And Jarrod got 5 because, yeah. And so on the 60 and footy tips comp on footytips.com.au, round 4, 11 people got 7. I was the only one out of those 11 people to tip Warriors. So the rest of them all lost on the Newcastle Dragons match. because I went with Dragons. So Drum Kelly and Burley Bulldogs, who both got 7 each this round, again, still lead on 32 and 31 points. And there are 4 others on 30 who all got 7 this week as well. I'm on 28, so 4 points off the lead, and Jarrod is put his tips in, but supposedly they didn't work. So he's going to be right down the bottom as always. Sorry, not as always, as it's been.
Look, to be honest, it probably would have been at the bottom anyway. I got 5.
5, yeah.
Fucking Gold Coast and I'm never going to tip the Cowboys ever again.
Yeah. We both lost our bets. I took the multi on the Warriors, the Dragons, and AJ Brimson to score a try. So I got 1 out of 3. Not great. And Jarrod lost $10 on the Titans to win. So you're now down to $30. I'm on 90. But before we get into Off the Ruck, can you give me something you loved and something you hated from the weekend?
Oh,
Let's call it for and against.
Okay, so obviously I hated watching Newcastle play, not because of the injuries, but just the way they played. And you know what? I love Pappenhausen. That 4 tries in 11 minutes just was off tap. The whole atmosphere, Bossy commentating. Some of the quotes that Bossy was saying was just, it was great. It was so funny. It was just fun to watch Pappenhausen just rip through. And what about you?
What I hated, and it reared its head in the, I'm going to say the St. George Knights game, or it might have been the Tigers-Eels game now. I know it's blurring together, but someone kicked a 40-20, and the attacking team got down there ready to take the tap, but the ref held up till the defense had set the defensive line. I hate that.
Yeah.
Attacking teams taking a risk by kicking the ball early generally to get 40-20. It's either they get it or I think it was Reid Marnie actually from dummy half, and they.
No, I have a feeling it was a Cronulla one with Jaden Brayley. No, maybe.
I don't know. I watched almost all the games this week and it's blurring together.
Oh, sorry, Blake Brayley.
What's the point apart from field position? The point, like, you're meant to be able to get down there. You've kicked the thing. You get there, tap and go. Like, rugby union doesn't seem to have a problem with it. If the defense isn't set, you get another penalty. Or sin bin a professional foul. As long as the attacking team's ready and the referee's ready, screw the defensive team, tap it and go. Give the team an advantage. But what I loved, I had a tie. The celebrations of the Dragons players after their tries were brilliant. And you can tell the difference between teams that have been struggling for an amount of time when they start scoring points and getting back-to-back wins. The enjoyment that you see after tries are scored is so different to when you see a team like Roosters and Storm and Canberra. Like, they celebrate, but it's a completely different energy.
It's like, oh my God, we scored.
Well, it's not the oh my God, it's that'd be like if Manly scored right now. This is more of like things are starting to click, things at work and's actually coming out, and they're so happy for each other. That, and then also what I've got as my background. If you're checking this on YouTube, which is a tweet from Jamie Soward from the weekend when he was watching the Super League. And this is the tweet from Soward. Just heard a Super League commentator say, if he keeps playing like this, it will put pressure on Greg Inglis if he wants to play left centre. Talking about one of the Warrington players. He got that commentator got pretty slammed online because
I will say that
for a while. Yeah, come on, man.
I will say that the English supporters and commentators and everyone involved are very, very proud of their players, and they're very these players should be the ones playing, and they don't kind of look at the NRL players too much.
Yes.
Because they've always said this player is better than our player, and they come over here and it's just like, no, sorry, mate. See ya.
With a grain of salt, I haven't actually seen Inglis in any of the Super League games yet,
Well,
but he looked pretty damn fit heading into the first game.
The biggest example would be Ryan Hall. So
yes,
right now,
highest try scorer in Super League.
Yeah, he played NRL for Roosters. He was like Adam said, the highest try scorer in Super League history. On the wings, one of the strongest teams for like 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years, however long he was there. Came over to the Roosters, couldn't even crack their best 17 if they were strongest. Spent 2 years there, did not score one try, then came back to Super League, scored a hat trick on his return game.
That's all you need,
including the winning try. And the winning try, he had to run 40 meters, and he just did not like it. It was bad.
Yeah. So I saw that tweet, and I was I was cracking up. It was brilliant, and
and this is coming from Jamie Soward, who probably still has nightmares about trying to tackle Greg Inglis.
Yes. And someone's like, Inglis won't be the player he was, so maybe he might do. I'm like, dude, he'll be a future immortal, most likely. And as an outside back, that's pretty hard to do in today's world. So that's Beers and Banter for our round 4 review, and we'll be back with Off the Ruck stories from off the field. So not a lot has really gone on off the field over this weekend, because the footy was spanned over 5 days, so it kind of covered everything. But it's pretty much all good news stories. And the first one we wanted to touch on was something I wanted to talk about last weekend before this all happened, which was the Moses Masoi celebration. So for those who don't know, Moses Masoi used to play in the NRL for the Roosters, one of the biggest players in the comp, literally just in stature, and he went over to the Super League and was playing over there and broke his neck in a game, and he's been going through obviously rehab, and he's back to walking, albeit very slowly, and having to basically relearn all motor skills again. And this weekend, a number of teams with support of the NRL were basically playing for Moses Masoi and donating to his rehab journey. You might have seen the South players all run out with afros on. So Moses Masoi, afro was kind of his calling card, similar to Fuifu Moi Moi, Bunny Afoa, etc., etc. And the call is We Stand with Mossy. It's a fundraising appeal which was launched in Sydney on Monday. So that was really awesome to see the NRL and the teams, especially the Roosters, getting around it. And there's a great video of Moses Masoi on his Twitter account. Thank you. And the quote is there, "Thank you for standing with me." And there's some really touching but also heart-wrenching videos of his rehab online. It was kind of not a bit of a coincidence, I guess, that this was on the same weekend as Alex Mickinnen Cup between St George and the Dragons, which is the most known neck/spinal injury we've seen in the NRL in recent history. So that was a really good news story, with Masoi continuing to take strides and improve his physical condition. All right. On that same sort of, what's the word I'm looking for? Topic, I guess. Yeah, that's not the right word, but anyway. You might have seen, if you watched the Bulldogs South game, before the game, James Elliott, the brother of Adam Elliott, actually led the Bulldogs team out. And the Bulldog is joining with communities around the world for Light It Up Blue in recognition of autism and families who have members who are dealing with autism. So another disorder that really affects people, cognition, intellectual abilities, physical abilities, etc. in some cases, and raising awareness and the NRL using its platform to generate awareness is another hugely positive thing that this game has always done and continues to do. And especially with the crowd, I think they had like 20-something thousand for the Bulldogs Rabbits game. It sounded like a pretty damn good atmosphere coming through the radio when I first heard it. So that's another awesome thing to see. And there's a link for World Autism Awareness Month up on the NRL website at the moment. Anything else from you?
No, that's there's been more news on the field this week than off the field, which is
Yes.
we'll just
One bit of bad news, unfortunately, the Australian Secondary Schools Rugby League National Champs has been cancelled for this year due to obviously border restrictions, the unknown impact of COVID in the future, etc., etc. It was meant to be held in Redcliffe from July 1st. It's now been cancelled and it will be staged again in 2022. As it's a national thing annually, it's not postponed, it's cancelled completely. However, all district, regional and state championships will still be held. So we will still have a Queensland Schools Championship, as New South Wales will have theirs, etc., etc. There will be no national championships. Now, as there hasn't been a huge amount of off-the-field news, I kind of created some stories based on conversations I'd heard, conversations I'd seen on social media, etc. And another thing that's reared its head this weekend, I guess, is rule inconsistency throughout the games. So I kind of want to get this over and done with now. Geez, I just had a blowout. Rather than talk about while we're analysing the game. And the first one is the Shepherd rule.
Oh, no.
Did you watch the Roosters-Warriors game?
Yeah. And I saw that really innocuous.
Yeah, but it's I think the commentator said that's a rule that's been around for 100 years. You don't run around your player, and if you do, you surrender. And although we're talking about the James Tedesco, he ran around literally someone who was standing still. Defense still had the opportunity to get around, etc., but you don't run around your own player. So the try went upstairs and it was disallowed for an obstruction. That was Angus Crichton's crash ball line. Were any defenders interfered with? No. But it's a rule. It's been around for ages. Then you get today's game of Parramatta versus Tigers. Parramatta's first try, I believe, Mitch Moses runs behind 3 players in the same run, goes to the left of the field, comes back to the right, and then eventually puts a grubber kick through that Parramatta score on. Again, were defenders taken out of the play? No. But it's still a Shepherd. You don't run behind your own player regardless.
I've got a question.
It's different to an obstruction.
So do you believe this in black and white as it should be disallowed because it's a rule straight up? And is that the only one that's black and white that you believe should be disallowed?
What do you mean the only rule?
Yeah. So do you believe that the Shepherd rule, black and white, was not a try because it's been around for 100 years?
If you're this close to the defensive line, yeah, because obviously fullbacks run behind their wingers or whatever after they field a kick 60 metres away from the defensive line. The reason why, I think it is black and white, because every week, I'm not going to say every game, but every week we see players do it by accident. They stop their run and they surrender in the tackle.
Okay. Fair enough. That's what you're.
I honestly wouldn't have cared if they were both tries. My issue here is the consistency. Okay. The fact that one was awarded a try. Well, they were both awarded a try on field, but one was then disallowed for a Shepherd.
And the fact that it was only looked at because it was a try in the end.
Well, they were both tries.
No. Like if it happened, in a regular thing when he got tackled straight after, but he didn't surrender, it wouldn't have got looked at.
No, it wouldn't have got looked at.
That's exactly what happened in the Newcastle St George game. So I'm sitting there watching it, and look, I believe it was a try, but St George scored the second try, I believe, first try, and they passed a cutout ball.
Oh yeah,
the second rower
in the game. Yeah.
Oh yeah, sorry, but I was just thinking that you said black and white's been around for 100 years. This one, black and white. He did hit it. You can see his hand go backwards. You see it.
I was happy with that to be a try as well.
Yeah, to be honest, so was I. But Adam blew up on our group chat because he said that's bullshit that they called back because the reason was it was a try and they overanalyzed and stuff like that. So this comes back to, should they look at the video, look at every single play or just try scoring plays? Because one of the comments Adam made...
looking at every single play.
Well, one of
we'll
the
talk
comments,
about that
Adam,
with the clamour on Norman hit later on.
yeah. So yeah, one of the points Adam made was that it happens 100 times in a game. You miss it all the time. But in this one, it got looked at very scrutinised and got disallowed eventually. But it is black and white, but it looked bad, didn't it? It looked bad for the game.
Yeah, like I had no issue with all three plays being a try. Mitchell Moses was probably the most obvious one of the three because he literally stopped, turned around, ran back across the field behind two players who had already done lead runs and come back, which may have given him a second more time to put the kick through. If out of the three, that was probably the one I disallowed the most. The Tedesco one, I didn't even notice it live.
Yeah.
The St. George cutout ball, I saw it the first time I saw it live. Not one commentator on Fox Sports noticed it. Not one commentator on Channel 9 noticed it. So if you go back and watch the replay, they're talking about what's going on here because he's about to take the conversion. And they're saying possible knock on. I was like, well, yeah, it flicked Josh Kerr's hand on the way through, but and the second thing, I think Pete Sterling said it, did it even go forward off his fingers? It hit it that briefly and the pass was going that fast. It would not have disrupted the ball's flight enough to hit it forwards.
Yeah.
I just think that the issue was just the inconsistency in the call. Two exactly the same. One's a try, one's not. So, and the fact that players hold themselves up week to week. Yeah, we just want consistency. A second thing. This was brilliant. It was all New South Wales people on social media talking about this one. But after the Storm Broncos game, people were saying surely Pappenhausen needs to be the New South Wales fullback.
Oh, sweet Jesus. For fuck's sake.
I know. I was going, yeah. So I was just reading through the comments going, oh, yeah, Tedesco's pretty good, but Pappenhausen's got this, and this. They are both. I think the comment I put up there is you need to find a spot for Pappenhausen in that squad, but it's going to be 14. He's not going to play fullback for New South Wales until Tedesco's either injured or retired.
No, he's not even in the top two. I honestly put Tommy Turbo
there's an
ahead
argument
of him.
for that, yeah.
I put if Tommy Trbojevic wasn't injured, you'd have that manly people saying the same thing.
Yeah.
So
it's short-term memory.
Some people are dumb.
No, they're not dumb. Like you can see the point of view on it. Like what he did was outstanding. It was
against Broncos.
I know. It was the point. And I was going to talk about in the game as we're doing now. He missed last week when they lost to Parramatta. Now Melbourne made 2 line breaks last week that didn't result in tries. You can't say 100% certainty, but if Pappenhausen was playing that week, as shown against the Broncos, 3 of his 4 tries were support play there to finish off the move made by his teammates. Now, the 2 that didn't get turned into tries against Parramatta, you'd assume he would have been there for both of them. Like what the outcome is, we can't say, but that shows the impact of him as a player. What's the one aspect of his game? Like, this isn't an argument. The one aspect of his game where he trumps Trbojevic and Tedesco.
I'd say only support play.
Oh, no, I wasn't going to say that.
That'd be the one.
There's debate there. This is the one where there's no debate.
What is it?
Speed?
Yeah.
There's no debate on that. That's the only aspect of the game where you can say he definitely trumps the other 2. In every other situation, you can have debates, and I'd say the one where he'd be closest to topping the others would be his defensive play, saving tries. But even saying that, I'm more looking at him versus Tedesco because I think Trbojevic is already pretty damn good at that with regards to saving tries and holding up opposition. So... But it was interesting to me, like, just watching all those and the comparison I threw out there. Everyone sees Cooper Cronk now on Fox Sports being an analysis. He won the premierships down in Melbourne. He won the premierships at Roosters. He was the bench player for the Maroons for how many seasons?
3.
Because there was Lockyer and Thurston, and he had to wait for Lockyer to retire for him to get a crack. And he's one of the best halfbacks of this generation, up there with Thurston. But if he had one outstanding game, better than all his other really good ones, he wasn't going to oust Thurston at Origin.
Yeah.
Even with the Storm winning premierships and the Cowboys not. Like, Pappenhausen will be there, but he'll be the 14 more than likely. And you're looking at the rest of the back line, you already have Clint Gutherson playing out of position. Tom Trebojevic, when he plays, playing out of position. Jack Wyden playing out of position at the start. He's now probably playing 5'8". On top of that, you've got Tupou. Ferguson's form's been a lot better this year. And then you got Latrell Mitchell, who'll be bussing for a callback, and he'll be playing out of position.
Then you got
Pappenhausen will play out of position. He is an excellent fullback, but Tedesco's been the best fullback for 3 seasons at least straight.
And then on top of that, you've got the breakout star of the last 2 years, Stephen Crichton pushing for a spot. Then you've got, Katoni Staggs, who's been killing it for the Broncos. And then on top of that, you've got Bradman Best, who probably was the best centre for the first 2 rounds of this season.
And those last 3 that you said are all actual genuine centres.
Yeah.
And if all these players are healthy, they'll probably miss out to players who aren't even centres.
Yeah, and do you know what? On the weekend, obviously, because it was a Newcastle game, but I watched Zach Lomax play on the weekend.
So good.
He killed it. Do you know another part of it is?
Good. He's a centre.
He's probably the best goal kicker in the NRL currently as well. That's something no one else in that entire list is, or even close to being a decent goal kicker. Like, Latrell can kick a ball, but Zach Lomax, he got 26 in a row? So
would have been 27. That brings me to my next point, actually.
Yeah, so people just dumb.
Yeah, settle down.
Oh my god!
I'm not saying what Pappenhausen did wasn't brilliant. It was awesome to watch, and it woke me up because I was just waiting for the Storm to click. There was just something missing, and then Broncos fell away, and boom, game was over. But yeah, 100%, and that could be a reason why Storm doesn't win the premiership this year, just due to goal kicking. The last thing I wanted to do just on Off the Ruck is, why isn't there a bunker for conversions? Just in case. Talk about Zach Lomax just then. He was going for, I think it was 2 away from a club record, which isn't what you play games for, but...
Do you know who was taking over?
Mick Ennis.
I couldn't believe that. I can't remember him as a kicker.
No, but that conversion... to me, it looked like it went straight over the goalpost. And I wouldn't have been shocked if the touchies put their arms up. I wasn't shocked that they had their arms down. But I think it's odd that when we do have close games that are separated by a point or 2 points, not to have it there just as an emergency or a backup. I've just never thought about it, and literally until that moment, and I've never heard anyone talk about it. So just something to...
I'm not...
It
would matter
until there's a debate about it.
Well, it'd be interesting if in a semi-final, 2 minutes to go, they believe they got it over. Could you challenge it? Because if you can challenge what...
you can't challenge a try or disallowed try.
No, challenge the goal going over.
No, but you can't challenge a try whether it's a try or not.
Yeah, but sure you can challenge a goal.
No, it's still a scoring play. I don't think you'd be able to.
Oh, it'd be fun if you could.
The HIA last week with the 18th man now coming in, that didn't get brought in until it happened, like the 3 HIAs in a game.
Yeah.
This is a rule I think wouldn't come in until something happened like that.
It will eventually. Guaranteed it's going to come up sooner rather than later.
It's just one of those things that I thought of. Anyway. That's the end of Off the Ruck. We'll be back with all the suspensions and injuries in our...
This is the longest part of the show.
Hard hit session. All right, so another big week in injuries. Not as many, actually, for once, but a couple other big names. So we might finish with them, actually, because they're more talking points. So Suspensions first up. Victor Radley's first week back. Got charged with a dangerous contact charge. He won't miss a week either way, but he is appealing it, and it may save him $1,800 if he is innocent. Jacob Saifidi and Bunty Afoa will both miss 2 weeks for a shoulder charge if they fight and lose. If they enter an early guilty plea, they will only miss a week. Morgan Boyer will miss 2 weeks due to a crusher tackle. He also suffered a dislocated shoulder, so not a great weekend for Morgan Boyle or Manly. Keon Kalamatangi is going to miss 2 weeks for a crusher tackle as well. Cody Walker, 1 week for striking Nick Meaney after taking the early guilty plea.
Dog shot that was.
Yeah, also suffered a $1,150 fine for stamping on Corey Waddell's ankle. And Patrick Carrigan's, probably for his sake, glad that he's going to miss a week due to a crusher tackle because the Broncos take on the Rabbitohs next week. And nothing so far out of the Parramatta Tigers game or the Knights Dragons game that I've seen.
What, for injuries?
No, suspensions.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, no, sorry, yeah, Jacob Saifidi. I'll cover that.
Yeah.
It's just the Eels West Tigers games that only happened today. So injuries, a big one. Mitchell Pearce suffered a torn pec muscle. He had a swinging arm against Tarek Sims. Yeah, it was. He felt it straight away. He's looking at 10 to 12 weeks recovery time. We're having surgery on it. So a huge, huge blow to Newcastle's finals chances. He's obviously not the player he was, but the experience and the control and the kicking he brings, it's going to be a huge, huge loss for the Knights there. Compounding that, Tex Hoy, 2 to 4 weeks with a hamstring injury. And this was the play right before the Kurt Mann field goal. And Tex Hoy took the hit up before that. It was just unfortunate. He had his leg caught in the tackle. I think it was by Laurie. And he was trying to step one way and was turned the other way. And he grabbed it almost after he played the ball. But he's looking at 2 to 4 weeks with a hamstring injury. To compound that for the Knights, Dominic Young, who played quite well last week, picked up a knee injury in the New South Wales Cup, looking at 2 to 3 weeks. The upside, Kalen Ponga may be back next week. And Fanua Blake will be missing a week. Won't get to verse Manly next week due to a knee. Satili Torpanua has to pass HIA protocols. Anthony Don. Now, to me, this was the scariest one I saw because he was nowhere near anyone and pulled up. It didn't look like a hamstring. So he didn't grab there. He grabbed a bit higher up. I was thinking straight away that he'd had a nerve or a back issue or a spasm. But all that's been released is that he's got a hip injury. And when you look back, it is where he's reaching. So not sure about that one yet. Jamal Fogarty picked up a severe cork. Should be okay for next week. Murray Tulagi's in HIA protocol for the Cowboys. Nick Meaney suffered broken ribs, and Lachlan Lewis in HIA protocol, as will obviously be Kurt Mann. He may still be out after that.
Yeah, he is. He's failed it. Hit. He's failed it now. He won't be able to play next week.
Yeah, no, that was a hugely unlucky hit. So obviously the big one there is Mitchell Pearce, and we'll talk about the repercussions of that for the round 5 preview next week. So we'll be back with our game analysis for the 8 games from round 4 of the 2021 NRL season. Okay, so we spoke about in the round 4 preview that we'd never seen the first 3 games of a weekend have 3 favourites under $1.10 and the 3 outsiders outside $7. And all 3 games lived up to the billing with scores of 46-6, 38-0, and 40-6. So as a Manly fan, all I can say from this is thank you to those other teams in the comp who feel sorry for us and having to go out of their way to make sure that there are other teams talked about in the same sentence as Manly when it comes to the wooden spoon. So Cowboys, Coats and Bulldogs, I sincerely thank you. Because
but okay, I will say
the 4th game was also 48-10. So
I will say that
to start the weekend,
there's a difference between Manly, Bulldogs, and Broncos.
And they're spelt differently.
No, the only difference I'd say, the only different team is probably the same as Manly right now is probably the Cowboys, in that Broncos started well and had a crack. Bulldogs always have a crack. I felt like Manly and Cowboys were just turnstiles all game.
Yeah.
That's what it honestly felt like. So, yeah, you can get, there's different ways you can be. Like, for example, Bulldogs, they do not have a quality team. We've said that all along. They've got quality players sprinkled amongst them, but overall they're very limited in what they can put on the park. But the difference is, even last year they had a go.
Yeah.
Broncos scored the first try. I will say it's an intercept, but they scored the first try against Melbourne. It wasn't until Pappenhausen blew them out. But there was no indication throughout the whole game that Manly were having a crack, or the Cowboys either.
Now, I was listening to, I think I was doing a run to the tip on, I'm going to say Sunday. Yeah, it was Sunday. And just listening to the grandstand, which I love listening to, and they were taking calls. And someone rang up about the Manly squad, a Manly game and all this sort of stuff about where the hell's obviously the defense and just turning up for your mate, and something that Luke Lewis was talking about in the commentary. And it's happening, but it's pretty easy watching that team to pick out who's having a crack and who's not. Yeah. And unfortunately right now, there are more players not having a crack than are. And those that are... I talked about Sherry Evans in round one looking like he was doing too much or trying to do too much. I had that on Sherry Evans 4 weeks in, watching that. He's trying to do too much because there's literally no one else around him doing anything. And they were talking about the comparison of Pappenhausen and his impact on the game for the Storm. And they compared it to Tom Trbojevic. If he was at Manly, would they be getting flogged like this? And they said that's you can't look at that as a whole. What a person like Trbojevic or Pappenhausen does for their teams is provides another opportunity of scoring points or creating points outside of your halves. Now, if you looked at Manly play Penrith, the defense is obviously concerning. It's more concerning to me, but outside of Sherry Evans, I was trying specifically to look for who's putting themselves in a position to score or putting themselves in a position to offer something else. And 100%, if Trbojevic was there, as Pappenhausen does for the Storm, as Tedesco does for the Roosters, as Latrell Mitchell's learning to do for the Rabbitohs, they're in and around the ruck before plays where they're not involved in the backline move. But they're putting themselves in the position to make something happen. Could Manly still be 0-4 if Trbojevic was there for all 4 games? Hell yes. Because even when he's in there, he's not going to make a 40-point difference. But Sherry Evans is on $1 million. He's working his ass off and looking like an idiot because anything he's trying, no one else is on the same page, because you may as well have had freaking 6 Brent Kites out there in the forward pack because none of them did anything.
Oh, he's a premiership winner at Manly.
No, I mean Brent Kite now, not when he was playing. I mean, like right now, as in if he just jumped off his couch. I don't know what shape he's in. I'm just assuming it's not.
He's probably a menace. He was a big human being when he played.
Oh yeah. I loved it when he played.
You know what?
I'm just saying, it's just.
You know what?
Schuster has been good. I forgot because he's only played a couple of weeks in the forwards.
I've been very well. Look, I know what Adam's going through because you just have to look at the last 20 years and not 20, last 10 years in Newcastle. And as I said, you can tell the difference. You can always tell the difference between a team who's, knows they're going to get beaten but doesn't care. And it's just getting bad. such a proud club like Manly. Like, you can do better. And
Right.
you know what? It's not like they don't have bad players in their squad. They have good players there. They're just like, I gave them a hell of a rap last week just because the potential is in their squad right now. But they're still not just having a crack. And it's just something you guys got to sort out real quick. Otherwise, it's going to be a very, very long year.
Yes. Looking at... So Josh Alloway came off the bench in 45 minutes. He was our leading meters eater at 183. Now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The starting 6 forwards for Manly, Jake Trbojevic ran for 140 metres, his best game of the year. The other forwards, 49 metres. 49 metres for a starting prop. 69 metres for the other starting prop. 42 and 65 metres. That's... It's
not right.
I don't know. And then I think the last couple of weeks I've been bagging and then I looked at it from a different point of view. His job is to put in the best systems to win the game, to get the most out of his players and limit the other team from doing what they want to do. That's his job. He's not motivating the players. He's not getting the best out of Manly, and he's not stopping the opposition. So he's failing on the 3 things we see on the surface. However, the other side is he needs a roster to work with that's going to be able to compete against the top rosters. Scott Penn came out this week, head of Manly, basically, saying that it's not good enough and we're looking to draft in assistants for Des. So they're talking about bringing Paul Green as an assistant coach. That's not going to work because Hasler's not going to listen to anyone. He does things his way. Scott Penn, instead of trying to help Des, should be trying to cover his ass and put together a roster that is going to be able to compete, not just for one season, but for multiple seasons to come. And that brings me to Penrith, who they were versing. This whole squad over the last year and a half, almost 2 years, has been a revelation. From the ground up, they've put juniors in place in a position to succeed, brought them through at the same time with familiarity, put them on contracts that they can afford, paid the big people money, and then brought in free agents to cover the holes. Think of your James Maloney, think of your James Tarmo, think of your Viliami Kikau, in a recent edition being Kurt Capewell. That's how you build a premiership squad. You build from the ground up with your juniors, you put them in position to succeed, and then you fill in the gaps with free agents. Scott Penn doesn't need to be looking at Des or his players. He needs to look at himself and get this shit fixed.
That's what I don't understand about the NRL. With player recruitment and retention and all that kind of stuff. And I keep going back to it, but I always use Melbourne as an example because obviously they're the most successful team in the last 20 years. There is no controversy coming out of Melbourne ever. And I'm not saying that's Manly, but what I put that down to... No, I mean like player controversy.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah. So what I put that down to is thorough investigation into player background and stuff like that. What that leads to is a good culture. And what a good culture leads to, performance on the park. Because at Melbourne, you can see it right now. You got Brandon Smith, you got Cam Munster. They're cheeky motherfuckers, right? The stuff they say is awesome, but they're cheeky. But the thing about it is that, they wouldn't be in that Melbourne system is if that Bellamy has taught them to go, you can fuck around all you want, but when it comes to training and games, you take that shit seriously. And that's what every other NRL club, this is the next step after what Adam just said, is that you got to create that culture of not only winning, but the environment to foster
with
winning.
it.
And that's what Melbourne have done for so long. They've got the guys who are going to mess around, but when it comes serious, they serious. Like, you can just watch Brandon Smith, the way he plays. It's 100% serious. He goes hard every single time. And I don't see why other NRL clubs aren't doing that more. Like, Newcastle try to do it with Adam O'Brien. As far as I can see, he's just doing a blueprint of Craig Bellamy from 20 years ago. But the reality of it is that it still hasn't worked for him because the people he's already got there are causing issues already. I'm just looking at Mitchell Pearce as an example for what he did in the preseason.
Yeah,
so
but building the roster, what Newcastle have done in the last 3 or 4 years is the right way to go. They've got their talent that have come through, and they've sprinkled it in with free agents.
No, yeah, I was just
You're talking about the culture that was already embedded there beforehand.
Yeah, so which Adam O'Brien's going to get rid of. You know, you can't have players who are not all in on the systems that the coach puts in.
Yeah.
And why I don't think that Manly players are all in is because of the effort they're putting in on the game.
Yep.
So I think that Des Hasler's putting in the systems, and then the players are like, oh, fuck, that doesn't work.
Yep.
Throwing their hands out the tackle and not pass. And it all comes back to who the player you're going to sign or who you play you're going to bring through. Are they good people? Are they not? And that's what I understand a lot of NRL clubs are doing because, you know, if Craig Bellamy saw an effort that Manly Cowboys are putting in, like, oh, man, he'd bring the reserve grade squad up. That's what I said last.
It was, well, anyway, I just don't get after the first 3 rounds of beltings that hasn't looked at his squad and be like, yeah, we can take on Penrith with the same 17.
Yeah, that's right.
From Penrith's point of view, the thing that we talked about from them last year into this year was whether they can keep this roll on, keep the consistency. They're not only keeping it week to week. They're not only keeping it. That's what I'm trying to find. They're keeping it consistent within the game, not just from the results. Like if you look at the tries, 3rd minute, 10th, 16th, 23rd, 46th, 62nd, 67th, 77th. So they're scoring throughout the entire game. The only 10-minute period they didn't score in was in the 50 minutes. Like, that's pretty awesome to see. And Brian Tu'o, as the shortest, stockiest unit out there, I would have loved to see him up against Matt Utai at one stage. 205 running meters. He was a beast, and I really enjoy watching him play. Onwards and upwards for Penrith. Manly's already in the negative hundreds differential, and it's 4 weeks in.
Sorry, that's horrible.
I can't get it. It's so bad. All right. Second belting of our second game of the weekend was Rabbitohs 38, Bulldogs 0. Now, we talked about Bulldogs putting in effort. I'm seeing actually less of that this year than last year, whether it's to do with combinations, whether it's to do with the new coach. I don't know whether it's a combination of both, but you could see the class difference here. And Rabbitohs kind of bobbed a couple of chances early on as well before they got across. But just like we were saying with Penrith then, 17th minute, 31st, 54, blah, blah, blah. Reynolds kicking looking good. The big thing for the Rabbits is tomorrow, or Tuesday, which is contract talks between Reynolds and the club. Supposedly the last time for them to get it all sorted. Remembering they've got Dane Gagai off contract and Jaden Sewer as well. So a lot riding on tomorrow. But anyway, they look good. Latrell Mitchell's continuing to do his thing. But the thing here, and what was brought up, I think, on Grandstand or one of the commentators, was you look at the good teams, and a lot of people are talking about the discrepancy between the good teams and the not good teams and the beltings, and it's all to do with Vlandy's rule changes and this sort of stuff. I don't buy into that at all. The teams that are doing well, the Rabbitohs, the Roosters, the Storm, the Raiders, one thing they've all got in common is they've got balanced rosters across the board, which is good, but they've all got a halves pairing where you've generally got an organiser and you've got an off-the-cuff player. And if it's not in the halves, then it's in their hooker as well. You look at the Rabbitohs, they've got Reynolds organising, Cody Walker plays off the cuff. Storm, Jerome Hughes organises, Cam Munster plays off the cuff. You look at Penrith, Jerome Luai plays what's in front of him. Cleary's the organiser. Now, it's not a coincidence when you look through all the teams that you've got that. Wyden is the runner. He plays a little bit more structure, but you've got Hodgson who plays in front of him, can play off the cuff when he needs to. Are they talented players? Hell yes, of course they are. But it's not structure all game. It's structure, oh, I see something, let's play that. Doesn't work, then go back to structure. But they've got these players who have the ability to just change the game. And I think that's got more of an impact than any rule changes or speed of the game or anything like that. Cody Walker had a field day. Is he the most consistent player? No. But when he's on, he wins you the game.
Yeah, I just don't think he has the ability to do it in big games. Like, I still maintain he goes missing against the big teams.
Yeah, you can. You can definitely argue that. And when you go.
So this kind of comes off. I was really angry at him what he did to Meany on the weekend. Adam didn't actually. You didn't see that one, did you?
I didn't see that part of the game. I must have been out of the room because I watched 6.5 games this week.
Because it started the fight. Look, they were winning comfortably, and Meany was on all fours. He elbowed. He just put an elbow in the back of his neck.
That's not cool.
And I just feel like he's got it in him. Like, he's that kind of... I'm not going to call him that. Sorry, that's not that kind of play. But he's got that spurts of anger in him. If you rile him up, he's going to get a few penalties against him. And it really annoyed me because there was no reason for him to do that. Like, they're winning by however many points.
Yeah.
Bulldogs weren't even testing their defense. Like, when it came down to... Bulldogs were attacking the line and they had 2 sets in a row. 2 sets in a row, Kyle Flanagan only touched the ball twice in that period. They were just doing crash balls off the hooker. And for me, that's really bad.
Yeah.
That's really bad attack, and especially against a team you got to pick apart at South Sydney if you're going to beat them. And they were just not there. And that's my point. Like, why did Cody Walker feel the need to do that when they're already beating them so easily on the scoreboard? So it really annoyed me that game.
One thing, like we're talking about, I was just talking about difference between good teams and bad teams, rule changes, rah. This could be a perfect game to look at if you want to break down the stats and have a look. Possession difference was 2%, Rabbitohs' favour. They had the ball for a minute longer than the Bulldogs did. In that 1 minute and 2% extra, they had 10 more sets than the Bulldogs did, but Bulldogs still completed at a higher percentage. The run meter difference, almost 2,000 to 1,500. So in the 10 extra sets, they ran for 500 extra meters. So that's going to have an impact. Line breaks was only 3-1. Tackle breaks was 22-17, so only 5 difference. Even the missed tackles was 22-17, so 5 different. Forced dropouts, Bulldogs had more. Bulldogs had more kicks. Bulldogs had more kicking meters. Bulldogs diffused more kicks. Bulldogs had 2 intercepts. They had 2 less errors. All of this is pointing to an even contest. The only thing that's standing out is they conceded 3 more penalties. Yet the score was 38-0. That comes down to individual players, talent, and that's the difference between teams. Roster build, roster construction from the top, the front office, down to picking the right coach for that squad, and then the players performing. Because stats-wise, that was a very even game. All right.
Yeah.
The third belting of the round was the second game on Friday night, which was Storm over the Broncos. Now, there is not a team that has a bogey team like the Broncos has the Storm. I think they looked at the last 10 games. The Storm's average points scored was 34 in 10 games. Like, that's nuts to keep that average up over that span of time. And yeah, this game was, I'm not going to say in the balance. It was a weird game in that.
Melbourne never really got out of second gear.
Yeah, Broncos were bringing Melbourne down to Broncos level just through mistakes. Like, every time Storm were attacking, they were going left because Broncos looked short. They went there a third time, I think, already. Dropped the ball. Xavier Coates picked it up, ran the length of the field, scored a try. Josh Adokar, in my opinion, dove too early before he ankle tapped. He may have.
I thought he had him, mate.
I think he would have caught him if he'd kept running. But anyway, Xavier Coates scored. Broncos were in front 6-0. And then Storm scored 34 unanswered points. Now, my brother let me know about this, even though I was watching it. He was versing me in fantasy, even though I was looking at a different league. I'm not even playing you this week. He'd picked Ryan Pappenhausen as his captain. And Pappenhausen reeled off 4 tries in a 12-minute period. I've never seen that, I don't think. It was incredible to watch. And what really stood out is just his blinding speed. His ability to accelerate off the mark and then just go, just leaves players for dead. And you can never coach against or how to defend that, because you can't coach speed. Like, that sort of speed, you just can't. And he used it to his advantage. George Jennings had a great game as well after a shaky-ish start. And Cam Munster just looked like he was having a ball out there and was rewarded with a try in the 69th minute. The goal kicking was hit and miss again, 5 out of 7 for Pappenhausen. That could cost them in the finals. They come up against someone like Croker and Canberra or Cleary and Penrith. And then Josh Adokar played his 100th game, didn't get a try, had one disallowed, I believe, to a forward pass, which was... but he did kick a penalty goal in the 79th minute. And it was also Christian Welch's 100th game as well, and he had a bit of a blast out there as well. For the Broncos, Jermaine Asako didn't have as good a game as he's been having. Xavier Coates still looks like he's improving each week. But, man, did you see Kevin Walters' face when they were flashing to him in the throughout? Like,
So, I love when they show coaches, especially Bellamy. Like, he blows up better than anyone. Maybe
for a walk in the 11th minute. They think it was the earliest he's ever gone for a walk.
Yeah. Well, that's what Vossi said anyway.
Is that who said? Okay.
Yeah. But, side note, do you know what I'd love to see? Canberra losing in the early 90s, late 80s with Ricky Stewart and Craig Bellamy, the same team, blowing up together. How angry would that change room got?
And Wayne Bennett as assistant coach.
Yeah. But Broncos, fuck, they annoy me. Like, I hate seeing a team with quality all over the paddock and is losing this badly all the time. Like, I still really rate their backline, minus Milford. He's shitting me off now. He's dead to me. He really is annoying me right now. Like, he's the most experienced player up bar Alex Glenn in that squad, and he's just not doing anything. And that's what
his footwork was pretty good to watch every now and then.
Well, he's not a centre either. I know they've got Katoni Staggs back, but I think he'd be much more valuable coming on as like a Brendan Smith, Victor Radley kind of player. Not as the hard-hitting kind of thing, but the guy that's running and stepping around tired forwards when they need to. I think he's a better utility.
Patrick Carrigan only played 44 minutes.
Yeah, I just see them as a very young team crying out for leadership. And on what I was saying about the coaches' side of things is that you see Ricky Stewart get mad. Wayne Bennett doesn't say a thing. Craig Bellamy tees off his head. Every kind of coach has got their got that look that you know that they're showing their emotion, except for Wayne Bennett, obviously. Kevin Walters just looks sad puppy.
He looks sad, eh?
Oh no, it's so. I'm worried about it. That's what I said last week, that I watched the press conferences, and that concerns me more. That how he looks so deflated every time it goes to him. That concerns me more than how they're playing in the park. Because if the coach is showing that emotion of deflation, fuck. What do you do there? Like, Des Hasler shows nothing, but
I wish he did.
Kevin Walters just shows, like, you want to give him a cuddle sometimes. He just feels it's horrible.
It's just now. I was talking about the stats of the last game being equal, and Rabbitoh scored pretty consistently throughout this game. Storm didn't score till the 25th minute, and yet you look down the stats. Wow, like just run meters 2150 to 1400, so 7 tackle breaks 34 to 16. But this is a big one. kick return meters. Now, generally, the team that's got the ball for most of the game doesn't have as many kick meters because they've got the ball most of the time. They don't. 339 kick return meters from the Storm, 79 for the Broncos. Far out. Anyway, so Storm continue on their merry way. Broncos doing their best Manly impression. Just can't wait for them to verse in Magic Round. Now, a team that is falling well below to the point where one of their most high-profile players, and Josh Maguire, said last week that they've got a soft underbelly and it's not good enough, is now looking more and more likely that he'll be gone before the end of this season. He's already been given permission to leave at the end of this year, a year early in his contract by Todd Payton and the management. There's whispers around that he's already starting to try and work out a way out of Townsville sooner. I expected more from the Cowboys to start this season.
I
didn't expect them to be winning every week, but I expect them to be putting up more of a fight than they did. Like, the Sharks absolutely blitzed them. And there was some really choice play by the Sharks throughout, especially in the first half. There were some really nice touches. Josh Dugan looked... He called for his grubber kick try by Chad Townsend. And Havasai Fidau came up too early and Dugan got in behind him. But I tell you what, Fidau's pick up and run off
it looked clean.
Loose ball. Holy crap. He didn't even look like he was running. And he blitzed them. Absolutely blitzed them. The speed of that guy is crazy. He never gets brought up fastest man, but I'd take him over Addo Carr or Charlie Staines or any of them.
Well, what disappoints me is for the Cowboys that we're talking about an English centre taking over Greg Inglis at his squad. Yeah. Cowboys made Connor Tracy look like a world-class centre.
Oh, yeah, it was horrible.
And that was horrible because he should have been their main target the whole game, just defensively, just to run through him. Because, he always gives 110%, but the defensive reads I've seen that boy do at centre.
Isn't he a 5'8"?
He's a 5'8" halfback. He's not a centre, but they made him look absolutely elite. Like, I was very surprised people weren't calling him to play New South Wales this year in the centres, the way Cowboys made him look. It was just really bad.
He's had a really good, solid start to the season, and he's not being talked to. Actually plays for the Sharks and is in a very spoken about position. Will Kennedy has continued to play really well. His support play, he's going to
get dropped soon
in the tries as well. Yeah,
he's going to get dropped soon.
Valentine Holmes, like Cooper Cronk was breaking his play down before the game, and he's got a higher tries and a higher try assist ratio already for the Cowboys than he had with the Sharks. But the big difference is his number of possessions is 35 a game at the Cowboys and was 20-something at the Sharks. But you look at the top fullbacks, and now Holmes has played 2 weeks at fullback. They're in the 45s and 50s. with regards to getting their hands on the ball per game. And Holmes is playing well when he gets the ball. His support play has been good. His positioning has actually been quite good in defense and diffusing kicks and getting the ball back in play, beating defenders. But yeah, I think he has to inject himself more in attack rather than just the backline moves. But yeah, hovering around that mark area like we're talking about with the elite fullbacks earlier. Yeah, Cowboys look like they're in trouble. Hard to see what they're trying to do. We both, I think, like this list better than what they've been putting out there. They didn't play like it. All right, so the first of the games we're actually going to analyse this week in a bit more depth, even though we've kind of chatted about the other ones, is Titans versus Raiders, which was the first actual decent contest on Saturday. So this is the game that Titans had moved from the Gold Coast down to Jubilee due to the COVID lockdowns. And Raiders won this one 20-4, which isn't a great indication of this game. But if you didn't get to watch this game, jump on the extended highlights and just watch the first set of the game because it was pretty reminiscent of the rest of the game. Titans got the ball, shifted it early, shifted on the third, I think, or the fourth, looked dangerous, got around the outside slightly of the Raiders, and then put the ball down. Now, Titans looked dangerous for most of this game, looked like they were willing to throw the ball around, but Canberra always looked like they could contain everything the Titans threw at them and continue to do so till Titans made mistakes.
Yeah.
That was pretty much this whole game, but it was I really enjoyed watching it.
Yeah, so Fasamawali, he killed it. He was so good. The thing that I noticed, and it was bound to happen, but it kind of got glossed over a little bit in the previous games at times they've won, is that their combinations aren't too flash. So on that left-hand side with Dave Fafita, they actually ran into each other a bit. And they also, weren't giving... Well, I think it was Boyd and Fafita and the centre.
Ash Taylor would usually play that side.
Yeah. But, next man up for a good team. And with Tanner Boyd, he's experienced enough to do better than he is. I just think that the combination, they weren't using Fafita as they would have liked because, Canberra were probably happy about that just because, on that edge, he can create so much damage, but they weren't putting him in good positions when he got the ball. And he did create their one try just through breaking a tackle and then offloading. So Titans are only going to get better after this game, but the best way to describe Canberra was that they were clinical. They controlled the game, and then when they took advantage or when they took advantage when they had the opportunities, the best part of that game was Jarrod Croker's flick. That try, it was so clinical to start with, then he flicked it out. It was just a touch of brilliance / clinical. I loved it. I reckon it's great. Yeah. One of the best tries of the weekend.
I think Raiders, out of any team, score the most genuine rugby league tries, if that makes sense. So I agree. Their first try was one of the best moments of the weekend. And to me, that try was a season and a bit in the makings because George Williams took the ball to the line and then did a look out the back, no-look short ball to Elliot Whitehead running the perfect line. The first thought that came to my mind was Cooper Cronk, Felice Kafusi. That line, that's what it looked like. And it was a perfect try because if you freeze it and watch it in slow motion, Fogarty overreads it. He only has eyes on Whiten out the back. What makes this try even more impressive, there's no sweep runner. Generally, this play works because there's a fullback sweeping as the out the back ball. There was no fullback sweeping on this. There was just a set back line with a lead runner. And the ball went to the set back line in Whiten. It looked like the ball was going to go to the set back line in Whiten. And Fogarty overread and manned up on him. And Whitehead just ran through a perfect line. Now, the only player in the back line for the Titans who read it was Anthony Don out in the wing, and he turned and gave chase. And credit to him, and then also Fogarty, they chased down Whitehead. But he got it off to Croker, who did the flick inside ball that Jarrod was talking about.
The Gidley flick.
The Gidley flick to Rapana to finish in the corner. It was just a beautiful try to watch. And when I say that's been a season in the making, everyone knows George Williams is a runner now, and he'll take it to the line and put himself in the play. That try wouldn't work if he'd passed it 1.5 meters earlier than he did. From then on, Titans had the next 4 scoring chances. Mitch Rain scooted from dummy half, came up short of the line, knocked on, try saver. Jarrod Wallace caught a bomb, gave it off to Peachy. That got Peachy put a grubber kick in, that got taken in goal. Don went for a try in the corner. There was a try saver by Jack Wyden. And then Don went in again, and Charles Knuckle-Klokstad held him up over the line. So there was 4 opportunities Titans had, and Raiders did everything they could each time to prevent the Titans from scoring. And then Titans finally scored via Corey Thompson. So it was only 8-4 at halftime to Canberra, considering there'd been so many try-scoring opportunities. And then it was another 10 minutes in the second half until Josh Papali scored a barnstorming try to take it 14-4 to Canberra. And then by this stage, Titans had lost Jamal Fogarty to his thigh cork. They already obviously didn't have Ash Taylor. And then Anthony Don got injured with 17 minutes to go. So they were down 2 on their bench and 3 of their most experienced players, and Raiders finished them off. And I love this try as well. When I say genuine rugby league tries, at this stage of the game, it was the 77th minute, but Canberra had Josh Hodgson and Tom Starling on the field. There wasn't really anything on. Josh Hodgson just took a hit up on the right-hand side of the field, about 15 metres in. Tom Starling was dummy half, and George Williams was standing at first receiver. And because he runs the ball, he's got to be marked up. It allowed Starling to jump out from dummy half, run straight towards the defence, which froze them. George Williams was the first receiver. Starling faceballed him straight to Ryan Sutton. So you got a barnstorming 115-kilo guy getting the ball 3 metres out from the line. They couldn't stop him. But that came off Williams, first receiver, running the ball. He's a target. Defense has to look at him, and it faceballed into Sutton. It was just a brilliant play by Starling. Such a simple try, but working to their strengths. Yeah. And like Jack said, they controlled the game.
On the other side of the field, you had Gold Coast. So this year, everyone's talking about Fafita and Famasulli, which they should be.
Yeah.
But the guy that never got mentioned was Jarrod Wallace. And I think he's stepped up again this year. Like, he's obviously played for Queensland. He got dropped. And going into this year, the other person that was mentioned in that Gold Coast forward pack was Fodawaker. He's been relegated to the bench because Jarrod Wallace is playing so well. Jarrod Wallace has been absolutely killing it this year. And it's not the runs, it's not the tackles, which he has been doing. It's the 1% plays that he's been doing all year as well. So, yeah, some of the things I saw for him on the weekend was just, whoa, good on you. He put a few big hits on as well to the Canberra forwards. At one point, I'm pretty sure he laid out Ryan James, which Ryan James is about 110 kilos himself. He picked him up and dropped him on his back. Yeah. So he's been playing really well this year, and it's probably come from the people around him that he's stepped up his game, but I really like it. I really like how he's been going.
How many minutes do you reckon Wallace played?
About over 40, I'd say.
What about Fodawaker?
Under 30.
See, I was 100% with you on Wallace improving this year, but I've already put a note down here. Fodawaker to start next week, Wallace to come off the bench. Wallace played 35 minutes. Fodawaker played 56.
Wow. I actually thought
it surprised me after the game too, when I went back and had a look at the player stats.
Oh, I noticed him a lot more than I noticed Fodawaker. I really did. He played really well. Yeah.
Talking about hits, one thing we didn't mention earlier, it's escaping me now. Who put the shot on? It was the Storm game. Oh God, Storm versus who hit Payne Haas?
Hold on.
It was so good until he came at Kamika. It was just like, whoa, and it was actually play on. Man, what a shot that was. Olam on Payne Haas. Anyway, 3 top performers out of this game. I had Charles Nickel-Klokstad, number 1, 27 runs, 266 meters, 74 post contacts, 6 tackle breaks, 2 offloads, and a try saver. Josh Papali only played 50 minutes, but in that 50 minutes, 21 hit-ups, 193 meters, 67 post contact, 1 line break, 3 tackle breaks, 1 offload, 27 tackles, only 1 miss, and a try. And then Tino Fasamawali, 201 meters, 71 minutes as a prop, 69 post contact meters, 7 tackle breaks, 39 tackles, and 3 miss. And talking about Fafita, Tino beat Fafita in every category and played 9 less minutes.
Yeah.
Fafita, which is crazy. Also on this, Jarrod Croker ties Andrew Johns for 4th all time on most points scored, 2,176. And Rapana with his try is his 74th try for Canberra, which ties Mal Meninga. So a couple of things there. All right. Second game to analyze, Knights versus Dragons. So this was the second game on Saturday. Oh, first game on Sunday, sorry, so it was over 5 days. Up at Newcastle McDonald Jones Stadium, first NRL sellout since 2019. What an atmosphere there was for this game. It was great. As a Manly fan, it's in my blood to dislike Newcastle. Dragons, I've neither been here nor there. I had an extremely enjoyable afternoon watching this game. I guess just mostly for the right reasons. This was just entertainment plus for so many different reasons. I feel for Knights supporters. I'm happy for Dragons to get this win. I'm happy for me because I tipped it. What a weird topsy-turvy game.
It was.
Yeah.
Look, by the end of it, Newcastle were just worn out.
Yes,
that's all. And yeah, good on Dragons for like pun putting them to the sword, but I thought they could have done a bit better in the scoreline because in the end they only lost by 9 points. I think it was 23-11.
22-13.
Yeah, 22-13. So they lost by 9 points.
Well done that scoreline.
Yeah, that was the only thing. And on top of that, Newcastle got a denied try in the last couple minutes, which... So I thought Dragons, because could have put them to the sword a bit better than they did, which they'll learn if they keep winning.
If this game was last year under the same circumstances...
Newcastle still probably would have lost.
Yeah. Oh no, I'd say Knights would win if we remember how bad the Dragons were last year.
Yeah, I just think last year Newcastle couldn't beat anyone below them. So obviously losing your 1, 6, and 9 in the same half isn't in the same game. Is it flash?
1, 6, 7.
Yeah, 1, 6, and 7. Awesome. Sorry. Yeah, Jaden Brayley's he's Jesus Christ, he's killing it.
Look, you would have watched this from a different point of view. So I'll do a quick breakdown and you see if there's something you picked up from a Knights point of view. So as a neutral supporter, I had this Knights were dominating this game early on. The first 5 minutes or so, Knights were in control, I thought. Both teams were playing enterprising football. I thought Knights were in control, but the 6-minute mark was the first swing where a scrum packed down or tried to pack down. There was some argy-bargy between David Clemmer and Blake Laurie. And Clemmer came out of the scrum the second time stating that Laurie had, I think people first thought he headbutted him, and he said, punch me. You look back on the replay, and Clemmer definitely made a play at Laurie with his elbow and gave away a penalty. And for such an experienced player, not the best time to do it. On the other hand, that's what I want my props doing, is on a day like that. It reminded me a bit of what Paul Harrig and Mark Carroll sort of stuff would do, just minus the huge amount of punches. Not the best time for him to do that. So he was put on a report for that. And that swung it the other way. And that led to the Dragons getting down the other end, scoring that try to Ravalawa. That was eventually called back for that feather touch that we've already talked about. I felt for the Dragons there. I saw it happen. I was still okay for it to be a try. It was bad defense by the Knights. Dragons deserved a try there. Anyway, it was a no try. Newcastle then went back the other way. Nothing set. They put up a bomb. Cody Ramsey dropped it 3 times at least, fell over his legs backwards, and Knights went through and scored a try. So it was about a 12-point swing. From then, it was Dragons started to get on top. I think they're about 30 metres out. They played out to the left and threw a ball onto the inside to Matt Duffy. Tyson Frizzell did a huge effort getting from marker, took him around the legs. Duffy knocked the ball on landing. And it looked like Newcastle had stopped a try. Tyson Frizzell had saved the day. And then something about Corey Norman being flat on the ground and then having to go off because the trainer had come out. But in that situation, they'd been able to go upstairs and Norman had thrown the ball inside. Clemmer made contact on him a couple of seconds after the ball.
Contact
Was it dangerous
that
contact?
pissed me off.
No. Suppose it was a shoulder charge? No. Was it late? Yes. Barely, but yes. And I'm generally on the side of the defense, the person doing the hitting. He was put on report. Clemmer was on report twice in the first 22 minutes. That was a huge swing because Knights had just stopped an attack. So instead of getting the ball at the scrum, it was a St. George penalty instead. And they didn't score from it, luckily. 23rd minute, Pearce does his peck. He's gone. Dragons score a try after Tex Hoy drops a bomb, so it kind of evens up the kicking mistakes. Trent Merrin scores just next to the post, and then Kurt Mann kicks a field goal to make it 7-6 at halftime. Cool. In the second half, this is just one of my favourite parts of commentary. I don't know who's the Matt, whoever Matt is on the Channel 9 commentary, but says, there's a second row feeding the scrum. And Peter Sterling says, it's not that hard these days. You just roll it straight back. That's so good, Sterling. Tariq Sims scores a belter of a try, running a brilliant line with huge amounts of aggression, very similar to the Williams to Whitehead try. This was off Clune. Watson this time overreads. Frizzell hits Clune, which is his player. Sims runs a good 25 metres to score. Celebrates, brings the house down. Then 55th minute, this is where everything changed again. Ravalawa takes a huge hit up. Safidi hits him with a half shoulder charge, and Kurt Mann is knocked into next year. People are upset about Ravalawa celebrating about knocking out a player. And watching back on replay, the first person he sees, Ravalawa gets up and he's already past Kurt Mann. So I don't even think he saw him. The first person he saw was one of the forwards, not Saifidi, not Mann. Who was the third one in the tackle? It might have been the other Saifidi.
But both Saifidis were there.
Yeah, he saw Daniel Saifidi as the first one. He was just, whoa, straight at him. I don't even think he knew that anyone was concussed behind him. I think he knew someone fell off because he would have felt that in the tackle. But there's no player in the NRL that would celebrate knocking someone out.
Age, no way in hell.
No. So those people who are saying you're celebrating for that, I think you're on something. 59th minute, Clemmer does his knee. And then Treek Sims comes up with a huge effort to charge down the slowest drop punt in history off Blake Green. Clemmer's still being strapped. Sims runs away to score. And then I thought Newcastle were unlucky to not get a try in the 74th minute. A forward pass was called out to Hymel Hunt. It was not a forward pass. It's an overreaction by the NRL to passes that weren't being called, that I think they called 2 this weekend that weren't forward. So I think Hymel Hunt deserved a try because he was quietly having a pretty good game overall. And St George win at 22-13 in a very entertaining, injury, over-officiated game. Did I miss anything?
Yeah, that was pretty much what it was.
It was over-officiated, wasn't it?
Yeah, there was so many stoppages in this game through injuries and then stuff like that. I didn't agree with the Corey Norman thing when he got hit late with the in quotation marks. That shouldn't have been pulled back at all, I don't think. But the fact is that he laid down and then he got up when he got the penalty, toddled off, and then he sprinted back on the play.
Yeah.
Means it.
Well, he was told to go off because he had to stop play. Because it was foul play, it didn't count.
The fact he was able to sprint a minute after he laid down or got hurt, supposedly, that actually really pissed me off. And that's not Corey Norman. That's a representation of what NRL is right now.
Yes. Penalty in Origin?
Sorry?
Penalty
no way in hell. No
penalty
way.
In finals?
No. It was crap. I didn't agree. I thought Ravalava scored that first try, but it got taken back.
I think him and Hunt both scored their tries, so I think it's...
Yeah. This is going to sound horrible, but Kurt Mann was doing nothing anyway, so...
Yeah, he didn't have a good game. I'll give you that one.
He was bad. Hadn't done anything all year anyway, so he got knocked out. There goes a 6. I actually had a look at it just before. Phoenix Crossland cannot come back next week, so he's still injured.
Injured.
So... I don't know who's going to play in the halves next week for Newcastle. But yeah, Adam ran it down. That was pretty much the game. There wasn't anything overly bad as far as I can complain about. Newcastle, if you lose 3/4 of your spine in one game, you'd be lucky to win.
So I had my 3 top players of that game. Even though Newcastle lost, I had 2 of them in my top 3. I had Corey Norman. Considering Ben Hunt was out, I was quite worried about what his performance. And he was, to me, St George's best player. He controlled the game, 14 hit-ups for 142 metres, a line break assist, a try assist, a tackle break, an offload, 11 kicks for 347 metres and 16 tackles. Pretty busy day for a 5'8". I had Jaden Brayley as my number 2 and Tyson Frizzell as my number 3. Tyson Frizzell's running metres don't look great, but his intensity, his intent throughout the game, that try, that tackle that he made on Dufty, the hits that he was putting on, he put it all out there. And I had him as my 3rd. Honourable mention to Alvaro coming off the bench and having another good impact.
Yeah, there's a few players because Daniel Sofidi,
he was big again, and so was Clemmer.
Well, what I want to say about Sofidi is that he's reaching. I don't want to say Tamalolo levels as far as but what I'm saying is
he's been consistent.
So his stats are always so high that he has an expectation now, which is what Tamalolo has. You're like, he has a bad game. He only made 115 metres, where, as you said earlier, there's forwards in the game in one game who was topped 115, and some of them got 45. So
I've got him in the top 5 to 6 props in the game right now.
Yeah. He's doing really well. Brayley's just killing it. He's going to have to lead Newcastle moving forward. But I think you're right about Norman. Tarek Sims, Adam actually said before the podcast, is the best he's ever seen.
And I didn't put him top 3, but he could have been.
Yeah, I am. I'd go as far back as when he used to play for the Cowboys. That's the best he played. And then My third is, Frizzell. Against his old team, you'd think he stepped up. He really did. He'd probably be pretty disappointed he lost to him, but...
the worst thing outside the injuries on that day was the jerseys, and I can't wait for Newcastle to get...
Well, look, last time Newcastle... Mitchell Pearce tore his pec. He was wearing the exact same jersey.
Yeah, the high-vis jerseys, they're gross.
You got to stop it.
Third, a game of analysis, and not as big a one, because there's not as much, I guess, to talk about on this one. But the Roosters 32 over the Warriors 12. I'd be very disappointed if I was Nathan Brown. I really would be. This was the weakest Roosters team we've seen in a long time, in that you're missing Jake Friend, you're missing Boyd Cordner, you're missing Luke Keary. You still don't have a certified number 6 or a number 6 that's going to be there every week or whatever. Victor Radley's first game back since injury last year. I feel no Lindsay Collins. Like, this is the weakest Rooster team you're going to probably come up against. In saying that, we're talking about before, the depth of this squad's ridiculous. But the Warriors really didn't do anything to seize the opportunity kind of when they had it. And I felt let down watching this game from a neutral's point of view, because I was expecting more of a contest, or the Warriors to put up more of a contest. They did score first through Adam Pompey, and then Roosters kind of kicked into gear with James Tedesco just taking the ball to the line, drifting across the field, and then straightening up and hitting his accelerator. Or literally a set earlier, Tuivasa-Sheck did the same thing down the other end. Passed it off to Nikorima, who was caught by Brett Morris, making a tackle 30 metres infield from his wing. I'm not going to say saving a try, but it was the first contact and forced a knock on. Brett Morris, another 2 tries on his quest for top 3 try scorers all time, up to 174 now. Josh Morris got across the strike. Nat Butcher came off the bench and made an impact. Drew Hutchinson picked up a ball off a mistake that the Warriors made in the 58th minute when they were kind of chasing the game by that stage. It was 16-12 lead to the Roosters at halftime. When at a stage the Warriors were really in this. I think the Roosters were another team where goal kicking is going to be an issue in the finals, with Takiaho not looking real flash and missing quite a distance from anything out wide. But obviously the big story out of this game was the debut of Sam Walker and how he just looked good. He looked first-grade material. And if you want a comparison, Sean O'Sullivan on the other side has been in the Rooster system before, as well as the Broncos, and is a highly touted youngster with 7-8 games under his belt. And he's been sound this year, but Sam Walker showed...
Shit all over him.
Yeah, shit all over. He really did. He was very impressive. The talks of him being in Origin this year are just a bit premature, let's say, from my opinion anyway. He had his hand in everything. I thought he controlled the game quite well for a debutant and in the position that he had, especially Drew Hutchinson at 5'8", who isn't the... Well, Roosters don't have a regular 5'8" at the moment. Tedesco, 257 run meters was crazy good. Tuivasa-Sheck battle was brilliant. They both just went at it, and it was... That alone was good. I don't know how Brett Morris scored his second try. He should have been taken over the sideline. He just squeezed through.
No, I'm not even. I'm not
surprised. I was just, God, he just...
Yeah. It's the same conversation I just said with Safidi and Tamalolo. The expectation is just there now. That they can just score ridiculous tries from nothing. Both those boys.
But, yeah, from the Warriors' point of view, losing Fanua Blake early didn't help because he's been their best forward, their best buy. Bailey Sirinen, that was probably his worst game of the season. He actually started off the interchange, but still only played 41 minutes, which is low on his average so far. And Alessi Katoa only played 37 minutes. So they're two of your not most damaging, but most lethal forwards, especially close to the line. I was surprised with that. Tory Harris had a belter of a game, but
always does.
Fusatua was disappointing. Mamalo was disappointing. Sean O'Sullivan was just sound. Bunter Yafoa really ran quite hard. But I like Jack Murchie's work. He played 60 minutes. I think he got rewarded for his effort once he came on. But if Warriors want to be taken seriously, this was not a good showing by them at all. And I couldn't find anyone from their team to put in my top 3 players out of this game, even with Tuivasa-Sheck doing as much as he could do. Roosters, what can you say? I tipped Warriors because I thought they were right for the picking. It cost me a full round, but you got to give it to them. They're putting systems in place. Whoever comes in is doing their job, and they're doing it pretty damn well.
Why didn't Walker debut at the start of the year? He's clearly
Kiri was there.
No, but it doesn't matter. He was clearly better than Kieran and Lachlan Lamb. Is it because did he only turn 18 recently?
No, I think it is because you're in the halfback position, and at that age, if you're playing halfback and you're this talented, very, very rarely would he have been put in a second receiver role. He when you're playing halfback and you're this highly talented this early, you're used to controlling the game. And I think it was an advantage for him almost that there was no Jake Friend and no Kiri, because he had to control the game, because Freddie Lussick's not going to do it. And Hutchinson, from what we've seen, is not going to do it. It gave him almost a free rein to do what he wanted to do.
Look, the reality of it is that now Lachlan Lamb will not play for the rest of the year unless there's another injury.
Oh, him or Hutchinson can interchange.
Yeah, because moving forward, the halves for Roosters are Walker and Kiri now. No matter what happens, those two of them move easily. And
I'm half and Kiri will shift back to 6.
Yeah, I'm so surprised he didn't debut. That was one of the best debutant games I've ever seen. The way he just moved them around. Nikorima could learn a lesson from that. The way he played. Nikorima played, didn't he?
Nikorima, yeah.
Yeah. So, and that was the difference for me. This finishing ability of the Roosters squad, plus the direction they were going around, because every set had a purpose. Everything, they played so hard, but that's where I think Warriors are really lacking right now, where they don't have a set purpose for every set they're doing. It's just all kind of like, we'll try and work our way towards this.
I'm going to have a look at their completions.
Roosters, Penrith, all the top teams, every set has an idea.
Yeah,
they know where they need to be, but these lower teams, even the mid-table teams, don't have that. So
this is the lowest completion percentage for the Warriors at 73, and the Roosters are only at 74. But for the Warriors, they've been the highest completion rate of any team this season. That was their lowest mark. My 3-2-1, I had Tedesco at number 1, which doesn't shock anybody. Another massive game. I had Walker at number 2, and then Crichton, who didn't end up on the score sheet due to the wraparound. This is second rowers numbers. It's crazy. 23 hit-ups for a second rower, 206 metres, 113 post-contact, 4 tackle breaks, 4 offloads, 27 tackles, 1 missed. For an edge forward, that's big numbers. So
I'll switch right now.
One half jersey.
I'll switch. He always rips his fucking jersey.
Yeah.
I'll switch Crichton out for Morris, just because Morris.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. Like Morris, he was
like that was that. Even the first try he scored, like he came up against, was it Mamalo, with about a metre room from try line and to the sideline, and he stepped inside of him, put the ball over Mamalo's shoulder, and was still able to get the ball. And I was just sitting there like, even the commentators were like, no, just stop it.
No. To finish a wild Easter weekend, a game I always really enjoy watching, considering, just like I said earlier with Newcastle, Manly fan, I just hate the Eels. It's in my blood, and they do the same. But they are good to watch, and I'll give them that. I've got to give credit where it's due. When West Tigers and the Eels verse, regardless of where they are on the table, it's always an entertaining game. And this one looked like it was going to be a blowout early, with the Eels scoring the 12th, 18th, 24th minute. But then the Tigers come back 34th minute, 62nd, 71st, before the Eels put on another 77th, 80th, and that at the end to blow it out. So it's halftime, 20-10, end up being 36-22. There's always a lot of points scored when these teams come up against each other. Jacob Little, another good game. Due reward at the end, supporting up the middle from a try created by Luciano Leilua, getting an offload away with 3 people all over him. Adam Dewey, he's becoming like, when everyone used to get excited when Cole Felt would do his kickoffs to start with, and Pat Richards before him. And then when, bloody hell, who does the massive bombs up out of the stadium? Mitch Moses?
Yeah, Moses.
Yeah, and now it's Adam Dewey. Like, every time he put a bomb up, you could hear the crowd going, oh, because he can just get some movement on the ball, fierce movement. I love Gutherson at halftime. We'd be playing better if me or Fergo could catch the ball, because they made a few mistakes each, but they did play better in the second half. Ferguson getting a double, Gutherson getting across the line, Isaiah Papali'i picking up another meat pie. Parramatta are undefeated, and
bastards.
Yeah, 7 tries to 4. West Tigers put up a spirited showing, but they just gave away too much of a lead early on and couldn't match it with the Eels. 29,000 out there at Stadium Australia on an Easter Monday, which is brilliant to see. Nothing else really from this that was outstanding to me that I wrote down outside of the Moses try, or the Moses grubber through for the try being awarded when it wasn't. We've already talked about that. Yeah.
I didn't actually get a chance to watch this game. Look, Parramatta are playing well.
Yeah, they are.
And
2 home wins, 2 away wins.
Yeah, and this Isaiah Papali'i, I was looking at his stats now. 1 try, 5 tackle breaks, 36 out of 37 tackles. So that's one missed, 1 line break, no errors, 14 runs for 166 meters. It's just like, and he started today because Ryan Madison was a late scratchy.
Mm-hmm.
But I keep saying it. Why do Warriors let this bloke go? He's so quality, and he's just like, as I said last year, the biggest criticism of Parramatta is their depth. He just solves like all their problems because he can play anywhere in the forward pack. I'd stick him at centre. And another thing they've got is that Murata Niokore, he's still playing in the centres and he's killing it. So, and that last year, if they lost to centre last year, like Jennings went down, they would have thrown Takarangi in there, and that would have been a weakness to him. Niokore is becoming a Justin Olam kind of player because he's just hitting everything that moves.
Right, in defense, he's still got a lot to do in attack, even though he did score the try today. But
the thing about it is, whoever they stuck in there last year, because I don't think Brad Arthur had the balls to put someone like Niokore in there, was that, like I said, last year there would have become a defensive liability having anyone else they would have put in there. This year, with Niokore there, as long as that side's locked up defensively, which he's been doing, they've got the attack around him with Mitch Moses, Dylan Brown, Fergo, Gutherson to sort that out. So they never had a defensive option in their squad as a replacement ever.
I think the best, one of the best things that Eels can take out of this as well is 36 points. Mike Acevo didn't even run for 100 meters.
Yeah.
So usually when Parramatta are scoring 36 points, Acevo's all over it. So with the Para Eels, they're 4-0. They've already versed the Storm once. They've got the Dragons next week, which will be exciting. Then they've got the Raiders. Then they've got the Broncos and the Bulldogs back-to-back in round 7 and 8. Before they come up against the Roosters in round 9. I'm just looking at their draw for the rest of the season. If you're looking at the teams that are pretty decent now, we've just done round 4. Let's just have a look. So round 6, 9, 12, 16. Round 6, 9, 12, and 16. Do they come up against anyone in the top 4 before their bye?
That's an all right run.
Only 4 games in the next 12. Do they verse anyone in the top 4 currently? Sorry, that's a lie because Raiders are 5th. So 3 of the next 12 games. Is there anyone in the top 4? That's crazy.
Raiders are going to be there.
Yeah, I know. So they've got a run before their bye to lock up their final spot with games in hand. That was a big one, but there was some it was a big game, a big weekend because there was 5 days of footy, stuff going off the field. Make sure you jump onto our Twitter at 6againpod or Facebook at the 6again podcast if you want to get in touch with the show. All that sort of stuff. Otherwise, enjoy holidays if you're still on them. Be safe heading back to work. Make sure in Queensland masks are still on for the next week and a half or so. It's been very wet in Southeast Queensland, so be safe on the roads as well.
See yous.
Bye.